Hi student, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti. I am one of your lecturer under the Department of Management, Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Gadjah Mada, as well as one of the facilitators in the Business Communication and Negotiation class. Let me take you to our today's discussion about communication in a meeting with a specific context of managing cross-cultural audiences. Have you ever been in a situation of a meeting with the participants of the cross-cultural audiences? If you ever been in that situation, you can see the complexity of managing the meeting because all of your audiences have a very different cultural background and they have a different needs, different expectation, and also different thought of seeing something. So let's try to give more detailed information about how to manage the cross-cultural meeting in our experiences as becoming a leader of a very specific meeting. So student, within this discussion, let me take you to three different stages of explanation. The first one is about setting a background. So as the learner in the communication, especially in a meeting and also cross-cultural meeting, first very important for us to have a clear understanding about what is a communication, as well as a discussion about what is a meeting, as well as a discussion about what is a cross-cultural meeting or a diversity coming into our working activities. Secondly, we will have a detailed discussion about cultural map as being defined by Erin Meyer. This is about the very specific method that we can implement to see differences of dealing with a different culture in our daily, in a meeting, in our daily situation. And the next one, let me take you to the discussion of meeting management. So student, if you see that the benefits of listening this class, this is not only for you who are going to join the international exposure as soon as possible, because when you are dealing with the international exposure, there will be a lot of opportunities. You are coming to a cross-cultural meeting. You can find that lot of benefits on listening the content of listening this content in dealing better with that cross-cultural meeting. However, if you are listening if you are listening the content by setting your expectation that you will do the rural internship program, the kuliah kerja nyata segera, means that you need also to listen into the content of this discussion. Why? Because when you are doing your rural internship program, definitely there will be also a lot of meeting, cross-cultural meeting, especially with the people coming from the various areas of Indonesia. The Bataknis, Yogyakartanis, Jakartanis, Semarangnis, Sundanis, and everything can be joining together to attend your activities in the rural internship program. So please just enjoy and try to find out the benefit of this content, student. So first, this is our basic understanding. So very important for us student to find that first what is a communication as being listed over there as the definition of communication. You can find that the magical statement of that. Communication is all also about developing a mutual understanding and also create and share meaning. So a notification over there student, communication is not only behavior. Communication is also values. It is also an attitude. It is also an art. Why values, attitude, behavior, and an art? Because communication, the final end is about setting a mutual understanding. So there have to be a common understanding of those becoming a sender as well as of those becoming a receiver. In the discussion student, we can see that this is a process of communication, very general over there student. There will be a sender, there will be a receiver, there will be activities to send the messages, we call it it's as the transmission phase. And finally, there is also a feedback phase. There is encoding, decoding, as well as decoding and encoding in the feedback phase. So it has to be a bidirectional relationship of the sender to the receiver, as well as in the opposite direction of the receiver to the sender. But we can see in the middle of the process, there might be very specific noises over there, and then specific noises coming in our meeting as one of the communication activities is noises coming from the different cultural background of our audiences coming in the meeting. Shouldn't, what about a meeting? If we define a meeting is about, well, setting an invitation while gathering people together to discuss, to coordinate, and also to make a decision on something. If we try to correlate the definition of the meeting to the discussion about the richness of communication media, so we can conclude the meeting as a part of the two highest position of communication media. Shouldn't, we can conclude a meeting as a part of the face-to-face communication and also spoken communication electronically transmitted. This is the two richest medias of communication. Why this is the richest media? Shouldn't, because within the meeting, all of the participants are sitting together in a very specific room. Then there will be an activities to send the message and also to find that the feedback, and all of these activities are continuously conducted, so common understanding can be developed fastly and also efficiently in the meeting. If there is a specific reaction, the other parties can see it, and then afterward trying to find out more solution in that very specific reaction. So because of that reason why a meeting can be concluded as the media of communication with a very high level in the richness of communication media. Shouldn't, in a meeting we will meet with lot of audiences. Okay, you can say that there might be only me as the leader with one of the participants. Yep, you can have that meeting. However, in the different occasion, you can also find that more members in your meeting, such as in our business communication class. In each meeting, there will be an opportunity for me as the facilitator to meet 50 of you, 60 even of you of joining into our meeting. So we can see a lot of participants in our meeting means that there will be a lot of diversity in our participants in a specific meeting. If we try to find out a clear definition or a clear explanation about diversity, there will be a lot of sources of diversity, and we can see that the diversity in terms of culture is concluded as the internal dimension. If we can also see the deep level diversity, surface level diversity, we can see that we can conclude the diversity in terms of culture as the deep level diversity, because it is dealing with the values, it is dealing with an attitude. But we can also see also the differences in terms of the color of the skin, also about the shape of our hair, can also provide us with the information about diversity in culture. So we can see that culture can be concluded as the deep level diversity as well as the surface level diversity. However, as the notification, culture is concluded as the one factors of seeing diversity in our working activities. Shouldn't, if we are dealing better with the diversity, there will be more creativity, as the one stated by cognitive diversity theory. We can also take a benefits of that diversity. There will be perks, there will be benefits over there, such as we can create a better engagement with our employees if we are dealing better with the diversity in our meeting. As the leader of the meeting, you show up about your concern of putting respect to others. So you will find that an engagement from your employees, as well as you will be more respected by your customer, because the activities to handle your business is an activities with putting a high concern of respecting others. So means that diversity, one of the factors is about culture. If we are dealing with the diversity better, there will be a lot of benefits on it. However, how to deal that with the diversity in terms of culture? When we define what is a national culture, as being stated by Hofstede, one of the scholars in the cross-cultural management, culture is like a mental software student. So we cannot see it, but we can feel it. And finally, we can use the culture to differentiate people coming from different cultural backgrounds. So we can see the Bataknis, Yogyakartanis are very important to each other. We can see, we can feel it, but then afterward, we can also explain that the differences is related more with the differences in terms of culture. So this is like the mental software in each individual that is becoming a common reason of the people, of the specific person to behave in a certain way, to think in a certain way, and also to have a different understanding in a certain way. Erin Meyer, this is another scholar in the cross-cultural management, take us to the discussion about if you are coming to a meeting, becoming the leader of the meeting, and this is a cross-cultural meeting, you need at least to define clearly 8 differences in terms of characteristic in the different culture. The first one is communication, secondly, evaluating, the third one, persuading, leading as the fourth one. The fifth one is deciding, trusting, disagreeing, and scheduling. So main student, if you are becoming the leader of the cross-cultural meeting, you need to see the different characteristic of your participants by thinking more clearly about the reason of the differences based on the differences in eight different factors of that culture. Let's see one by one, student. So we call it as the characteristic of communication. So based into our cultural background, we can behave differently in doing communication. One of the social concern take us to the low context communication. Secondly, to the high context communication. So because of my cultural background as the Indonesian, as being clustered over here, student, I can be becoming a person who is really high context. So high context person is sending a communication, sending the message of communication by using the context of communication instead of using the structure of our sentences. In the different comparison, if we can see in the low context culture, people over there is going to develop a message of your communication by using the very specific statement as being written and as being stated. So when they are saying yes, means 100% yes. However, in the high context culture, if somebody is saying yes, then you need to see the context to find out the real meaning of that yes statement. So this is about the low context and high context. Secondly, as the leader of the meeting, we need also to see the way they do evaluation, student. So the way they do evaluation in terms of the differences of culture can be divided into two different behavior. The first one is the direct negative feedback. Secondly is the indirect negative feedback. In the direct negative feedback society, they are going to say directly into to let the others know about the feedback of the specific activities. In the indirect negative feedback, they are going to maintain the harmony by trying to keep it latter of saying the truth in the communication. We couldn't say which one is better, student, but we need to put more understanding that there will be a different behavior of a people in doing evaluation, especially in the relationship with their own cultural background. The third one is about the behavior to persuade others. In one specific cultural background, they can persuade others by telling the concept first. So what is the background? What is the concept? What is the theories? And finally, what is the recommendation? In the different position, the people can also provide the persuasion by using the application first. So setting the recommendation first, and afterward providing more reason why they put that things as the point of recommendation. So this is two different behavior to persuade other students, and there will be a possibility for us to see those two different behavior of persuasion among our participants. Okay, then the fourth one is about the way to lead others. One of the society can be so egalitarian to put low level of social distance, and then secondly can be so hierarchical. So there have to be a very specific direction coming from leader and very bureaucratical in that situation, in that society. The fifth one is about the way to decide on something, whether that one based into the consensual decision. This is about musyawarah mufakat in bahasa. Or secondly, it has to be a top-down based into the very specific direction coming from the leader. The seven one, the number seven is about how to send a disagreement on something. This is about the disagreeing behavior. In one specific society, there can be so confrontational, means that they are going to say it loudly in the time being they're not they're disagree on something. And in the second approach, this is about avoids confrontation, so trying to listen first and afterwards saying the suggestion more and also provide more feedback. There will be also opportunity for us to find out a different participants with a different behavior of saying a disagreement on something. Okay, student, what about the eighth one? This is about the scheduling activities. One of the society can be so linear. They have to be very structured in doing something step by step. And then different society, they can be very flexible of, we can also say it as let it flow. So we just be so flexible, just follow the wind or follow the flexibility in dealing with our meeting. Again, there will be a possibility for us to find out different participants with a different behavior of setting a schedule, meeting agenda in our meeting. So student, in total, there are 8 factors of seeing differences, of seeing diversity based into the cultural background. So what is the suggestion, student? The suggestion, if you are coming to cross-cultural meeting and you see that a lot of people coming in the meeting with a different cultural background, a very specific suggestion, you need to assess that differences. And if you find out your differences in the comparison to others is really that high, it means that you are so highly different with your audience, then as the leader, you need to have a preliminary learning activities before coming to the meeting, because you are going to have a deal to lead a meeting with the people having a different cultural background and different way of thinking and also the different behavior. So really preliminary meeting is really that important for you. If you can see the differences there is really that high. There is also another suggestion in your position as the leader of cross-cultural meeting. First, set a clear agenda. So they are coming with that diversity in the culture, but as the leader, you have a specific agenda. You need to socialize it and also trying to be that disciplined on doing that agenda. Secondly, you can send a very specific expectation of contribution coming from people coming to your meeting. So each person have their own specific contribution. The third one, you need to put more better understanding to your audiences. You need to see the 8 different factors of diversity coming from your participants. The fourth one, we need to manage the cross-cultural conflict. If you see that there is coming of cross-cultural conflict, you see the differences and a big meeting cannot be conducted better. So you need to chop down the meeting, having another smaller cluster and trying to be more specific on working in the smaller cluster first before having a town hall meeting afterwards. And also finally, you need to implement and also be disciplined on reviewing the result of the meeting, and also to doing more activities after the meeting as being said or as being declared, as being understood in the discussion of the meeting. So student, there will be a lot of opportunities for you to handle the cross-cultural meeting. So the suggestion, very important for you to use that 8 characteristic to see the diversity, and finally managing the meeting in a better condition. So have a good journey, better journey to manage your cross-cultural meeting. Thank you so much for your energy to listen into this content, and also looking forward to meet you again in another discussion. Thank you. Bye-bye, students.